Hi everyone, Gary Chillingworth here for Airgun World Magazine, Shooting Country TV. Welcome to Life at a Range. We've got an interesting video today that is actually based around a request from a good friend of mine. I wasn't going to do this today, but unfortunately yesterday, a good friend of mine, Paul Burt, member of Lee Valley Air Gun Club and well-known figure in the HFT community, unfortunately passed away. Paul was one of the nicest people you will ever meet, and I'm still reeling from the fact that we've lost him. Saw him about a month ago, and he said to me, Gary, how about a video on how to get into HFT and what it costs, so that people can watch it and see exactly what kind of things they need to buy before they start investing in the in the sport. And it was something that I planned to do in a month or two's time, but I thought, well, do you know what, I'll put on hold what I was planning on doing today, and we're going to do this video for Paul. So I hope you enjoy it. Paul, to his friends and family, we're all gobsmacked. The entire community is gobsmacked, and loss of such a lovely bloke. You would genuinely be missed. Well, that said, if you want to get into HFT or into any kind of target shooting, whether it be field target, bench rest, plinking, hunting, whatever, you're going to need to purchase some kit. So let's have a look at the sort of kit you'd need to do target shooting. If you want to be a hunter, there are certain things within here that you can, are certainly going to be useful for you, but there are other things you'd need to buy if you wanted to hunt, like a ghillie suit or, decent camo and stuff like that. But we're not going to look into that today. I'm a target shooter, so we are going to focus around target shooting. But if you're be a good target shooter, you can certainly go out and be a good hunter if you can stalk properly. So let's look at the rifles first. Now, what kind of rifle do you want to buy to get going with? Well, if you're going to be a target rifle, if you're going to be a target shooter, try and stay away from systems that have either got fixed magazines or that you can't get a single shot adapter for, because in target shooting, you're not allowed to walk around with a magazine in a rifle, and then people can accidentally double feed and things like that. It can just be a bit of a ball ache. Luckily, a lot of guns, I've got a BRK Ghost, which has got an amazing magazine system, but PRS supply a single shot adapter for it. You can get single shot adapters for a whole host of guns. So just make sure if you want to buy a magazine fed rifle that you can get a single shot adapter to go with it. Just makes life easier when you're target shooting. Right, so what guns should you buy? Well, the vast majority of people I know that have got into HFT start off with something like an S400 from Air Arms. They're around about £650, and they are a extremely accurate rifle. I started off with one, and I've got friends of mine, Jean, and that she still shoots one, although being an aftermarket stock. But an S400 will certainly get you on your way. But the S400 is designed to be shot out of the shoulder. So you come up to the peg, you grip the peg, you come up the shoulder, and the rifle is there, and you shoot. Well, that's great, but it can actually be slightly, it's not as accurate as resting the butt of the rifle on the floor. And that's what most target shooters do. Now, a lot of rifles, again, I said I've got the BRK Ghost, which has got an adjustable putt pad, which goes up and down, and an adjustable cheek piece, which raises up and down. So you can rest the butt of the rifle on the floor, raise the cheek piece up, and you can stick your eye. Actually, no, the Ghost doesn't have an adjustable cheek piece. I'm lying to you. Sorry. My HFT 500 has an adjustable cheek piece. You put the butt of the butt of the rifle on the ground. You then put your head behind the scope. You can raise the cheek piece so that you're perfectly in line, and now you've got a rested rifle, much more accurate. So if you want to buy something like an S400, you're going to need to buy some aftermarket parts to go with it, but we'll talk about that in a second. So rifles like the S400 are going to be perfect for you to get going. If you want to go down a spring gun route, TX200, HW97, that will save you a bit of money, but again, we'll come into that in a little while. But if you want to buy something that is fully adjustable butt pad, adjustable cheek piece, the ability to attach the hamster, you're going to need to look at things like the HFT 500. They're like 12 or 1300 pounds. The Daystate Red Wolf, I think they're about 1800. The Ghost is really great. There are lots of different rifles out there, but gun fit is incredibly important. Make sure that you've got something that fits in your shoulder, but more importantly, when you're laying on the ground, that when the butt is right, that if you stick your head behind the scope, you're actually able to look through the scope. So when you get to a gun shop, if you've got to lay on that ground and put a scope on it and see if you can see through the scope with the butt rested on the ground. Something like the S400, as I said, it's got a fairly low cheek comb. So what you can do is you can put an aftermarket cheek comb on it, thing like a bear tooth. That's a neoprene cover that sits over the top, and it's got pads in it which will help you raise your eye up, makes it perfect. You can fit an aftermarket butt pad. You can get something like a Bisley butt pad, which just slides up and down, or you can get an HFT legal butt hook. You can get these 3D printed from someone like Brian Sampson. They're about £35. And not only will that adjust down so that you can rest it on the ground, but also it's got a slight, I think the paddles are like 2¼ inches long, and they will help grip your shoulder. So you can buy your S400, put an aftermarket butt pad on it, put a cheek riser on it, or you can have the comb cut and have an aftermarket, so it can adjust. People will do that. Gunsmiths and woodworkers will do that, and that way you are going to get your adjustability. So S400s, Ghosts, TXs, 97s. Best thing, get to a club and see what fits you. I've had some rifles very heavy at the front. I'm not particularly strong with my arms forward, and I find them too heavy. So I like a shorter rifle that sits back with all the weight back. You might be different, but the choice is yours. But you need to hold the rifles and see how they fix you, or how they will go with you. So then you need to go onto your scope. Now, the thing about scopes is a lot of people think bigger is better. Well, no, it's certainly not if you're shooting out to 45 yards. If you're shooting out to 45 yards, you don't want 20 magnification, you don't want 30 times magnification, because you're going to have a really short depth of field. If you're shooting an HFT, once you've taken your first shot, you can't adjust the scope. So you've got to be able to see all of your targets from 8 to 45 yards. Yes, the 8 yard will probably be blurry. The 45 yard might have a bit of blur in it. But if you buy something like the Big Nico, which is, I think it's like a 4x50x60, you'll be able to see the 20 yard target if it's set on 20 yards, and maybe the 21 and the 22. But 8 yards, you won't even see the target until you adjust it down. So you want something about 10 times magnification, which is what most people shoot in HFT, and that suits your eyes and you're able to see from 8 to 45 yards. Scopes I've really enjoyed in the past are things like the MTC Connect, and that's a zero eye relief scope. So literally you almost put your eye onto the lens, so I wouldn't use that for a spring gun. And what that helps do is it reduces parallax error. So it sort of doesn't matter if your eye isn't completely central behind the scope. I'm a huge fan of the Optisan CP 10x32. I think for HFT and for the money, you won't get much better scope than the CP 10x32. The Hawk Touch is also a very, very nice scope. It's got beautiful glass. I'm currently using the Falcon S10i, which I really like. And in the past, I've used the Vortex Viper Gen 2, which is again a beautiful scope. But you've got to find a scope that suits your eyes and that is basically works for you. But all of those ones that I've mentioned are all great places to look. But stick to 10 times magnification. Either go for 0 eye relief or like 3-inch eye relief. You know, so basically, you know, how far you've got your eye behind the ocular lens, but look through them and make sure you've got a multi-aim point reticle. You know, you're going to want aim points and things like that because you're not adjusting. You know, you've got to say, my crosshairs are at 40 yards, so when I'm shooting a target 8 yard away, I'm using the second crosshair down, sorry, the second 2 mil dots down, or my 45 yard is half a mil dot down. So you need that information within the scope. But yeah, look at the MTC Connects. The 32s are very nice. The Falcon S10Is, the Optisan CP 10x32 or the variable mag version, the Vortexes, which are like up near £1,000, but you need to find a scope that works for you. But all of those will certainly do you well. So you've now got your gun, you've now got your scope, so you need to put some air in it. Well, obviously if you've got a TX, the air is all around you and you don't have to bother, so that will actually save you some money. But you've got two choices, well, three technically, for putting air in. You can be a psychopath and use a pump, and you can sit there and you can pump away, but it's not like pumping up a bike tyre. I wouldn't attempt to pump up an air gun. It's hard work. Most people use a bottle. Now you can get 3 litre bottles, 5s, 7s, 10s and 12s. You want to go for 300 bar, don't bother with a 232. A 12 litre bottle is a big heavy bottle, and a 3 litre bottle you're always going to be going back to the shop to get it filled up. A good starting point is a 7 litre bottle. It's about 250 it's about 250 pounds. That will fill up to 300 bar. Can't tell you how many fills it will give you, but it will give you a lot because all guns are different. It will come with a gauge and it will come with what we call a whip, but it's basically the tube that you attach your fill adapter to, which you use to plug into the gun. So 250 quid, but then you need to get the bottle filled. Use a dive centre. Find your dive centre near you. Find out if they do 300 bar. Take your gun there and they'll usually charge about a tenner and they will fill the bottle up for you. Crawley Surplus, who is the sponsor of this channel, they do filling of bottles. So speak to them if you've got a bottle that you need filled. The other thing to remember is if you've got a bottle with just a surface gauge so that you can't stick a scuba regulator to it and breathe, if it's just an air gunning bottle, every 5 years that needs to be sent away to be tested, where they will check the inside of it and make sure that it's all free and clear and it's not dangerous, and that charge is usually about 50 or 60 pounds, but that's every 5 years. The other option, which is very popular these days, is to buy a compressor. Now you can get different types of compressor, but a lot of compressors are designed just to fill the gun, and they can either be plugged into the mains at home, or some will plug into your car. And you just plug them into your gun, you switch them on, and then a couple of minutes later, or however long it takes, you've now got a full rifle with air in it. I like to put an extra filtering system in between the compressor and the gun, and that's a cylinder. It's a big it's a big aluminium cylinder like that with like loads of desiccant in it. Costs about £100 off Amazon, and that will make sure that your air is nice and clean, and more importantly, no moisture in it. If you're just coming in from taking air out of the atmosphere and compressing it, you are going to end up with water in your cylinder, and you really don't want water inside of an air gun cylinder. So that's your choice. You've either got a pump if you're a psychopath, you've got air bottles, scuba tanks, or you've got a compressor. You pay your money, you take your choice. So compressor's about £400, a air bottle is about 250 and a pump is about £100 plus whatever you pay for hernia surgery. Gun bag. Now I use an AIM gun bag. My AIM gun bag is probably 10 years old now. It cost me about 150 quid and it's a beautiful gun bag, but you don't need to spend that money to get that much to get started. Again, at Crawley Surplus they do a very nice basic gun bag. I think it's about 27 quid. So you want to have a nice gun bag that you can fit your rifle into, and have one that you can fit your rifle and a towel into. Now we've talked about this fast, but if you go out and you do a shoot and your gun gets wet, you want to dry it down with a microfiber cloth, but your gun bag might be wet on the inside. So have a towel with you, wrap your gun up in a towel, put the gun in the towel, in the gun bag, and then you've got a absolutely dry, hopefully a dry gun for your 2-hour drive home, and then everybody is happy. To go into your gun bag, I always little thing of Allen keys, because sometimes bits come loose on rifles. So little set of Allen keys, always keep in your gun bag. Cleaning kit, your standard Napier pull-through kit. That's got basically it's like a long cord with some patches and some cleaning stuff that you just drag it through. That if your rifle starts getting inaccurate, you might just need to clean the barrel. Obviously always make sure your gun is unloaded before you start trying to clean anything. A couple other things I like, I've got them down here. That's not them. I've got, the field patches, which are like VP90 built into them. So you just wipe your gun down and that way it's all lovely, and it cleans it and it also protects it. So microfiber cloths, Napier, bit of VP90 or Balistol or something like that, just to keep that moisture off your rifle. Just check my thing. Okay, now if you go to any shooting competition, virtually everyone will be doing an impression of Michael Jackson and will be walking around with one glove on their hand. Most people use a glove called an Anschutz 110. It's a lovely glove. And the reason they use this is when you're gripping the peg, or you're putting your hand up against a tree, or you're doing something or other, those pegs, those trees, because they're outside, can be slippery. And that glove will give you extra grip. So when you're there and the rifle is attached to your hand, or you're gripping it, it'll help you grip, but also you've got pulses that go through your hand. So sometimes if you're gripping without a glove, you will see the reticle and it will bounce like that, and because it's picking up the pulse that's in the middle of your hand, and that glove will take that pulse away. I can spend a lot of time going over the benefits of the glove. Just go and buy a glove. They're 35 quid. If you don't want to get that, just get a thick glove with some grip on it from Screwfix or something like that. But as good shooting glove, everybody. It's very rare to see somebody shooting without a glove, and certainly every top shooter will shoot with a glove. Other things that you can get that are nice is a shooting mat. Now, a shooting mat is not designed to be folded up, to give you extra height or something like that, but it's just to insulate you from the ground. When it's cold and wet and you're laying on the floor and it's all muddy, you get horrible, you can get really muddy, but putting a mat down, it just gives you that barrier and it takes some of the cold out. And if it's a dusty day, it keeps dust from getting into your rifle. Now, chances are when you turn up to a shoot, you'll be put with a group of people, one of you will have a mat. So if you don't have a mat, just find the people you're shooting with and say, look, does anyone have a mat? And usually you share each other's mats. I like my mat because I've got these like plastic bits in the top that you can put information in, and it's got my aim points and all of that kind of stuff in it as well. So it's a good way of carrying information around. Some people also carry a little chair around with them so they can have a sit down in between shoots, but that's probably for us old gits. And then we go on to pellets. Now, pellets, strangely enough, are very important, but they're also very easy and very frustrating. when you're first getting out, just stick with something like your AA Fields, your JSBs, your Barracuda 8s, 844 grains if you're shooting in 177. JSB Jumbo RS, they're like 13.2s, I think, in 2.2 are really, really good. Or the AA Field 2.2s, I think they're about 18 grain. And just stick with a 452 Diablo pellets. Don't go with crossheads or flatheads or anything like that, just a Diablo pellet. And stick with a good quality pellet. They're about £14 a tin. If you buy them in blocks of 10 tins, or what we call a sleeve, then that's usually around about 125 quid. So you usually get a bit of a discount. Actually, I think the Barracuda 8s are actually quite good value at the moment. I think they're about £8 or £9 a tin. Down the line, you will start batch testing pellets. When you start getting that level of accuracy and you start to batch test, so you'll buy 3 or 4 different batches of pellets. On the back it's got information, so it's 452 head side, but it's die 37, it was made in 2023, it's, you know, and then when you find a batch you really like, you just go out and try and buy as many of that batch as you can. Because with rifles, I've had JSB 452s and JSB 452s. One's die 54, one's die 19. The die 19s are in the gun are like a shotgun. The die 54s are like a laser. And what you have a tendency to do is, if you find a batch you don't like, you usually find people that their barrel likes that batch. So you can mix and match, and, you know, you share each other, and everybody sells, has a tendency to sell at what they bought them for. And so that way, if you buy some you don't like, you usually find someone who will be happy to buy them off you. But stick with a basic pellet and don't go for anything funky if you want to be a target shooter. So you've got your gun, you've got your scope, you've got your pellets, you've got a nice mat to lay on, you've got your glove, you've got your bag, obviously water bottles, snacks and things like that, you know, just to keep you going throughout the day. But then on the actual day, if you want to join, if you actually want to go shooting, there are lots of different clubs who have open days and events. Like you've got the Southern Hunters, Midland Hunters, UK HFT Nationals, World Championships, you know, if you wanted to sign up for it. But then on top of that, you've got, like, for instance, around here, you've got Malden Monthly. You've got Lee Valley, who do a Saturday. You've got Mays, you've got Cambridge. There are lots of different clubs that will be local to you, and they will have a shoot once or twice a month that anyone can turn up to. If you are new to shooting, give them a call, let them know that you're new, and they will usually put you with someone who's got some more experience. And the cost for shooting on a day is usually about 10 quid. If you're going to do an event like the Southern Hunters or the UK's, it's sometimes like between 13 and 15. But a normal shoot for a day is £10. If it's your home club and you're a member, it's like a Malden District. If you're a member at MAD, then the shoot day is a £5. But that's the other thing, join a club. Find a local club to you. I'm a member of Malden District. Malden District is open 365 days a year, and it's open from dawn until dusk. Costs £140 to be a member, and that gives me access to 2 plinking ranges, a meadow course, a woods course, windless range, But also it gives you a group of people to go and shoot with, and these people become your friends. And then when we travel up north to go and shoot in a competition, you usually all jump in a car together and split the cost. So that's the thing. Now, other costs are things like if you want to go away to the Nationals. We shoot the Nationals, for instance, let's think, we're shooting a double header, so that's 2 days. So that's £26 for the 2 days of shoots. Then we've got hotels the night before, and then obviously you've got food and stuff like that, and then you've got, you know, your car travel. So when you can start putting all that together, and you can all travel as a group, it starts cutting the prices down, and it gives you someone to travel with. But that's pretty much all the costs that you've got as an HFT shooter. A field target is very much the same. Their scopes have a tendency to be a little bit more expensive. You can certainly go down the line and start spending whatever you want. You can buy aftermarket scopes, you can aftermarket stocks. You can buy loads of stuff. You can buy wind indicators that you attach to the front of the rifle, you know, and things like that. There is so much stuff out there, just little bits and little bits, to get you going. Get you a gun, an S400, get you a scope, a CP10x32, get some Air Arms Fields pellets, stick some air in the gun, and then you're good to go. It's not an expensive shooting sport to get involved with. You know, if you're going shotgunning, that's going to be 100, 150 pounds every time you go. Whereas once you've bought your kit for HFT and FT and this kind of stuff, it then gets very cheap. My rifle, I've got my rifle, my scope and everything like that, so I've got all the stuff. So if I want to go shooting this weekend, which I am, I'll turn up to the event, I'll pay £13, I'll use about 50 pence worth of pellets, and I'll buy a cup of tea. So I will have a total cost without fuel of about 15 quid. And for a day's shooting, that is really, really cheap. Trust me, look at full bore, look at shotgunning. Well, that's about it. If I've missed anything, please put it in the comments below. All of our stuff that we've looked at today, with the exception of the glove, which comes from Intershoot, has come from our wonderful channel sponsor. That is the Surplus Store in Crawley. Certainly give them a look. And if I've missed any expenses, please put it in the comments below, or drop me an email at lifeattherange@gmail.com. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll miss you, Paul. And look after yourselves. See you soon. Ta-da.